Good evening and welcome to live coverage of the RWB International Constructors Championship. This is the penultimate round of Season 8 and I am Rob Lomas, joining you from Kyalami in South Africa, just outside of Johannesburg, one of the three capital cities of South Africa. We're currently looking at Tom Shipston at the moment in the number 60 Lexus, and joining me this evening are Damien Lowe and Bruce Andrews as we currently head for the last few seconds of qualifying. It is phenomenally close at the top of the standings as Sebastian Erdmann was on top by just 0.02 of a second, although Radek Schuller's just put in a slightly quicker lap time to get pole position by 0.2 of a second. Crawford Brown abandoning his lap with 10 seconds to go to come into the pits in the number 3 Ferrari. Currently looking at White of Lion in the 666 Audi. And that is the end of qualifying. So we're just waiting for everyone to finish setting lap times at the moment. There aren't too many cars on track. I think Radek Schuller and Sebastian Erdmann are... No, they've both returned to the pits, so Marco Badowski really the only driver who can potentially challenge. And I think he's returned to the pits as well, just like everybody else has here at Kyalami. A couple of drivers still setting lap times. Ian Mackey is in 15th place in the number 97 Bentley. Currently looking at Xavier Eugenie in the... now we're looking at Toby Atkinson in the 112 Audi in P13. So quick rundown of the top.
We're just waiting for Marco Badowski now.
Yeah, we are literally just waiting on Badowski, who is, I can see on the track map, is coming up towards Mineshaft now. And through there, hard on the brakes into Crocodiles. I don't know why we're still looking at the 666 White of Lion. I'll keep an eye on Badowski's lap. Now we're looking at Kostadinov in the number 1 BMW. Badowski has made it through. Back to Lion now, as per usual. Badowski comes out of the final corner and moves up a couple of places, actually. So, good session from Marco there in the McLaren 720S GT3. And now we're just waiting for the cars to line up on the grid for the first of 2 races this evening, 20 minutes long. And as per usual, 1 mandatory pit stop. And then we've got a 40-minute race just after that. There's Josh Barton, Brian Gillisey. Badowski's up to 5th.
Triple fuel?
There isn't. No, I think it's a mandatory pit stop where they have to make... well, they have to actually physically stop in their pit box. So everyone just goes for the 1 lap of fuel and crack on. Yeah. Don't quite know what the auto director's doing, but either way, it's Radek Schuller on pole from Sebastian Erdmann in 2nd place, and then it's Crawford Brown in 3rd in the Ferrari with Mark Lessentin in 4th in the Mercedes-Benz. Marco Badowski is in 5th place in the 45 McLaren, ahead of George McDonald in the 66 Lexus. Eddie Warden is in 7th place in the 31 Bentley, ahead of Nathaniel Shirley in the 25 Lexus. Then it's Nigel Wood in the 77 Ferrari and Adam Kajowski rounding out the top 10 in the 919 Mercedes. White of Lion is in 11th place in the 666 Audi, ahead of Brian Gillisey in the 15 Honda, with Toby Atkinson in 13th place, ahead of Tom Shipston in the 60 Lexus. Ian Mackey is in 15th in the number 97 Bentley, ahead of Todor Kostadinov in the number 1 BMW. Hugo Gomez is in 17th in the 14 Porsche, ahead of Gianni Lenz in the Audi car number 7. Rounding out the top 10, it's Magnus Dahlgren in the 89 Ferrari and Dan Birch in the 58 Mercedes. Bernard Reitzmer is in 21st place in the 121 Mercedes, ahead of Damien Vilk in the 21 Lamborghini. Kevin Shepard is in 23rd in the 41 Lexus, ahead of Peter Varga in 24th place. This is the point where I seriously wish Auto Director would actually scroll down a bit further through the field. Come on. Like,
Go to pit wall.
please.
Go to pit wall. Use that.
That's a very, very good suggestion, Bruce. Cheers. I will quickly...
Sorry for having a brainstorm.
No worries. It's better than me. I'm very frantically trying to find out. Oh, there we are. That's better. Kevin Shepard, 23rd. Varga, 24th. Harry Hottie, 25th. Ian Begg, 26th. Oh, for crying out loud. And Xavier Eugenie, 27th. Oh, blimey. Josh Barton, 28th. Chris Brook, 29th. Jack Mason, 30th. Maddo, 31st. Giorgio Minga, 31st, and Matt Sherblum rounding out the field in 30 seconds.
33rd. The previous one was 32nd.
I think Auto Director is having a stroke.
It's, well, whatever it's on, I want some. Oh, what a night out that would be.
Where's Red when you need him?
Yes.
Is it Red's
Where's Red when you need him? He is literally only a text message away. Yes, we are currently, it is indeed showing as waiting for the green flag.
Guessing Nate's still at work.
I believe so, yes, which means that, oh, I nearly dropped my phone, which has the track map on it, which is going to come in quite handy to see if I can remember how how some of the corners are pronounced. But that's a story for another time. Not one that's probably suitable for broadcast, I should add. So the field are now heading through the penultimate corner now, which is the kink at Cheetah. Very nasty sausage curve there. There's one of the Lexuses having Nathaniel Shirley having a bit of a issue there, getting away from the grid and having to quickly overtake a few cars to get back into his grid slot. Heading through Ingway now, the final corner, and heading down towards the pit straight they go, just waiting for the lights to go out now, which they do as we see the green flag waving. And we're currently looking at Sebastian Erdmann in the 95 Aston Martin. He's lost a position there to Crawford Brown in the number 3 Ferrari. Hard on the brakes now for Crowthorne. And, oh, there's a little bit of contact there between Erdmann and Brown. And that's going to send them down through the mid-pack. There's all manner of carnage. It seems there's one of the Mercedes pointing the wrong direction. There's a Lamborghini going off as well. That's Damien Vilk. There's a McLaren off as well. I don't quite know who that is. That might be Varga, perhaps. As they head up through Barbecue now and down towards the old part of the Grand Prix circuit, towards Sunset Bend, something which, well, you've probably been watching F1 for a bit longer than I've been alive, Bruce, so you can actually probably remember when that was part of the original Grand Prix circuit.
Oh, cheeky! That last drink that you had has really taken effect.
No, it hasn't at all, as they come through the S's now. We're currently looking at Ian Begg in the number 17 Audi. There's been accident involving car number 22. That's Harry Hottie in the Lamborghini.
Oh.
And coming through, oh, there's a car off there at Leerkop as well. So the field, after what's been a fairly messy opening lap, heading down through Mineshaft towards the Crocodiles. Hard on the brakes. Very tricky corner, actually. It's quite wide there, so it can be a little bit difficult to find your brake marker. There's also multiple lines through there as well, and then it's through Cheetah.
Also multiple cars on the line that you want to be on, so you can't use it.
Yeah, true. And then heading into Ingway at the end of lap 1. I'm going to have to quickly do
looking at Damien Burke now.
A little bit of admin stuff quickly. Excuse me one sec.
Guard 58 is in, and they're all so bunched up it's hard to tell who's where at the moment. It's like they're going round pardon me, your Christie Sweeps and Barbecue.
Yuxka Swip. Yeah, sorry. Yuxka Swip.
It's got 2 E's, that's 3. what you do with them?
It's if I remember correctly, in Afrikaans, it's pronounced swip.
Yes, I've heard many funny things about Afrikaans accents, which I won't go into at the moment. In the meantime, the lead of the pack is heading up towards Mineshaft. And then the double turn at the Crocodile, slight turn in there. Coming down round through the bend at Cheetah. And on the way down to Inway.
Yeah, there we go. We've got the... Yeah, sorry about that. I just thought to quickly do some stuff quick. Well, I think it's all been taken care of. So, yeah, heading down towards Cheetahs now. That sausage curb on the inside is particularly vicious. The pit window has opened. There has been a few pit callers I've noticed. Brian Gillisey, Kevin Shepherd, Josh Barton, Dan Birch, Mad Al, Atkinson as well in the Audi. Badowski, in fact, has come into the pits quite early as well. Just a little bit earlier than we normally see Badowski in the pits. Badowski, usually one of the drivers who tends to pit a little bit later, so that's going to be
He always
quite...
tends to pit last minute.
Yeah, I think it might be a case of him wanting to get a bit of clear track more than anything at this stage, and just set some quali laps in the McLaren to try and maybe get the undercut on a couple of drivers.
Several of those cars copped some damage through that earlier impact going around.
Yeah,
5.
true. A few of them have already cycled out. In fact, Badowski's still ahead of Matt Sherblum, who, oh no, he's just gone behind Sherblum now, which, given that Sherblum during last season actually had to pull out due to shoulder injury, is still doing a very good job. Yeah, and surgery as well, as you quite rightly say, Damien. He's doing a fantastic job to be back behind the wheel in the in his car. So, Matt, if you're watching, mate, hope you're on the mend. Hope you're feeling better, and hope you're doing well, mate. In fact, we see Badowski coming up to pass him. Sherblum taking the inside line and letting Badowski have a clear run through the mine shaft towards Crocodiles. We've got more cars in. We've got Ian Mackey, Jack Mason, Todor Kostadinov, Nathaniel Shirley as well. So there's a fair few early pit stops in this race, including from some drivers maybe we weren't expecting to see in the pits this early on. So
car 89 has been in an incident. Another one coming up, 722.
That's Dahlgren. Yeah, but then again, the ACC's definition of an incident is literally trading paint between two cars. So we may have to take that with a pinch of salt. Fairly generous pinch of salt, I should add. To go on one
earlier, Harry Hottie, and I must admit, I do like the livery on his car. It's simple but nice.
Currently looking at Badowski battling with Shirley, both fresh out of the pits. There's Dan Birch, also relatively recently out of the pits in the Mercedes, battling with Gillisey there, and just able to hold on to the inside through Sunset. That is a quick corner as well in a GT3 car, then braking just at the 50-metre mark. Gillisey, bit of contact there, very well held admittedly by Birch at Sunset. So heading down the hill now through the S's and then back up the hill, and it is quite the climb towards Leerkop. You can't really see your braking zone here. You have to kind of look for where the marshal's post is and use that as kind of a braking marker of sorts. There's Jack Mason on the outside there, trying to see if he can find a way through, but not quite close enough. And we've got Todor Kostadinov in the background in the number 1 BMW as well. So cracking battle between those four there. We're currently with Tom Shepston now in the number 60 Lexus, heading through the first few corners now up towards Barbecue Bend and onto what is actually the other pit straight at Kyalami. It's only used for the national races, but back when they first shortened the circuit, got rid of the old pit straight, the run up to Sunset there was in fact the first corner. As brief yellow flags, I think someone's eaten the
victim of the cheetah.
Yep, first victim of the sausage curb of doom. And believe you me, if you hit that sausage curb and you can actually keep it on the tarmac, then you are considerably better than I am as a racing driver, because 9 times out of 10 you hit that sausage curb, you are eating a barrier. There.
Sometimes when you're turning into for that corner, it's like it looks like you wouldn't hit it, but then you still hit it anyway.
Yeah, it's very tricky. I can understand why they put it there to stop drivers from trying to actually cut it, but at the same time, yeah, it is very, very nasty. It reminds me in a way of some of the sausage curbs they've got up at Snetterton in the east of England. There are some sausage curbs there which are placed in such a way that if you actually hit them, you can probably get launched into the air. Really nasty positioning. Badowski thought he was going to have a little look at Shirley there into Crocodiles, both running over the curb on the exit, heading into Cheetah now, both very wisely steering clear of the inside curb. Yeah, that's what I'd do if I wasn't so bad behind the wheel, but 9 times out of 10 I still hit the thing anyway and get fired off into the next realm, the Shadow Realm to be precise, through the King.
What's next door to where I live?
I mean, given that I live in the middle of nowhere on the Somerset levels, it might as well be where I live. Yep.
Anyway, I told you once my reasoning behind getting rid of sausage curbs, didn't I?
Well, I think anybody who watched this year's WEC race at Monza would know exactly why, after Henrique Chavez had a mechanical issue in the TF Sport Aston Martin, which he shared with Ben Keating, and hit the sausage curb side on, rolled to the car, and the force of the car hitting the sausage curb was actually enough to blow the door out.
Yeah.
Really, I saw that live. It was very, very nasty. Just seeing the Aston Martin at the side of the track, wondering what had happened, and yeah, it's very unpleasant indeed as Badowski comes out of Learcop down through the mine shaft.
My cue for that is to put a wall on those corners. Some kind of proper barrier even, that they cannot cut through. So they're safe on the curb because there's no sausage. But if they go that little bit past, they're in a barrier.
It's a tricky one because some tracks do have to meet Formula 1 standards, and Kyalami was effectively supposed to be on next year's Formula 1 calendar until the although I don't think the check cleared in time, knowing the way Formula 1 works. But it was actually supposed to be replacing the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa, and from a...
The check cleared, but the bung didn't arrive.
Well, from a sports history perspective, which I am actually slightly qualified to talk about, given that's what my master's thesis was in, it was next year or 2024 or whenever the next Grand Prix here is, would actually be officially the first Grand Prix at Kyalami since the end of apartheid. The utterly abhorrent regime in South Africa up until from the 1950s up until officially 1994, when Nelson Mandela was elected as the country's leader in the first free, fair and multiracial elections in the country.
Which was amazing for a man who died in prison, according to the Mandela effect that's going around. People misremembering things.
Well, I actually did quite a lot of reading, and I was actually incredibly lucky at university to have a supervisor who specialised in writing about sport in South Africa during the apartheid regime and dictatorship, and I was able to bounce ideas off of him and get his advice on stuff, and I actually did a lot of reading about non-motorsport related papers on sport during apartheid, and it was really fascinating and eye-opening in equal measure, and not in a positive way either, as just what it was like. And like I mentioned, it was utterly aberrant, the regime was, and but from an educational perspective it was actually very interesting, as it was all before I was born. So yeah, so safe to say that was quite a few of those ended up being referenced in my master's thesis / journal article, as we ride with Radek Schuller. Leading still. It's Radek's first race in a few weeks, actually. Radek does, I think, still hold the record for most wins in a row in the Constructors' Championship. Absolutely phenomenal driver, and even managed to, during last season, win races despite not practicing over a weekend because he was a little bit busy at the Red Bull Ring marshalling for the during the Austrian Grand Prix this year. Absolutely.
It is difficult to practice for this when you're spending most of your time in the Pegasus Galaxy.
Yeah, he is a phenomenal driver, and
Stargate fans will know what I'm talking about.
yeah, Radek is absolutely phenomenal behind the wheel. It's his first race in a few weeks. He's been a little bit busy, but he is absolutely back where we usually expect to see him. At the
right in front of him.
Yeah.
It looks like Togo seems to have lost his mojo, because he used to be one of the guys up in the top 10 regularly. But
we still do have 7 cars yet to pit.
yeah, but still, not regularly up there.
In fact, the Radek and he was putting a lap on Sherblum, but Radek is going to go another lap, and in fact I think the top I'm just trying to have a look quickly, see who's there. 4, 5. I think, well, McDonald's bailed into the pits now. I think Erdmann definitely can do another lap. Kozłowski's coming. I don't know if Lenz has come in. Dahlgren and Eugenie, depending on when they cross the line. Dahlgren's definitely doing another lap, and Eugenie's coming to the pits as well. So Schuller, Erdmann and Dahlgren are pushing it another lap as Crawford Brown moves up into 5th, Lessington up into 6th, as we just wait for the field to cycle through. It's only just under 4 minutes to go now, which is quite extraordinary.
As long as they just cross the start of the pit lane, then they should be safe.
Okay, cheers, Damien. Yeah, and I believe Schuller's going to make that comfortably. He's got 1 minute and 20 seconds to get from the exit of Learcop. He can actually afford to back off at this point. I know he's got I think that's Giorgio Minga just in front of him there in the Bentley. Minga stays to the outside of Crocodiles to let Schuller through. Even though Schuller is going to be coming in any minute now, which he does. So he hits his marks there. We're going to be seeing Erdmann and Dahlgren in at the end of this lap as well. Erdmann's just crossed the pit entrance line, and Dahlgren is going to be crossing it in a little bit, because I've just seen the gap. It's Dahlgren's got 23 seconds to catch onto Erdmann. But I can see where he is now. He's coming up towards Ingwe and comes into the pits now, just as Schuller at the very front of the pits is heading back down towards the kink, still retaining the lead of the race, heading towards Crowthorne now. Hold on, the brake's braking. Normally, at racing speed, you're braking about 110 meters or so through Yuksky Swip in towards Barbecue now. Very tricky corner. Interesting to see he's taking it in second. I usually take it in first just to use the torque to get the exit out the corner. Heading
I always
in
use second through Barbecue.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Third gear through Sunset, which is what I usually take, and then down to second for Clubhouse. So called because of the clubhouse that was actually on the outside of the corner there. Down through the S's now. The only surviving part of the original Kyalami Grand Prix circuit, and then up through the hill towards Leerkop. Been a bit of an off down at Crowthorne, I've noticed. Through Leerkop and down the hill. Thing with Leerkop, especially in a mid-engine car like the NSX, is that you can actually just let the car rotate while you're on the throttle through the second part of the corner and just let the gradient help rotate the car through Crocodiles, and now heading towards Cheetah and the sausage curb on the inside. Thankfully, there's a fair bit of runoff there from where there used to be a very fiddly little chicane. And then through Ingwe and across the line.
To start the final lap.
Yeah, to start what is going to be, as you mentioned, Damien, the final lap of the race. And Radek doing what Radek usually does, quite honestly. Starts from pole, sets the fastest lap, and wins comfortably. I'd love to see Radek actually take part in one of the endurance races one day, because I think that could be quite something to witness. Heading
Have they
towards.
not participated in the endurance races?
He doesn't usually, no. I think that's because he might be a bit busy with his with other commitments, namely, I think, marshalling. Back in his native Czechia, at places like Brno and Autodrome Most. Most being best known for playing host to the European Truck Racing Championship, and also a very, very underrated circuit, if I may say so myself. Radek coming through Leerkop through the final time now. Heading down through the mine shaft towards Crocodiles, braking roughly where the 100-meter marker is on the far left-hand side. Although the way you're heading into that corner, it can be quite difficult to see. Through Cheetah now. And heading in towards Ingwe for the final time. And it is going to be Radek Schuller who takes the win on his return to the RWB International Constructors Championship. Dominant performance from the Czech driver.
I just noticed Schublem fell victim for the Cheetah as Schuller was passing by him.
Oh, yeah, that is a nasty, nasty curb. Holgagler cars here. Erdmann second, Brown third. McDonald's going to come home in fourth. Lessentin in fifth. Eddie Warden's going to come home in sixth. Cracking job there from Wales of Lion to come home in seventh. Shipston eighth. Shirley ninth. Badowski rounding out the top 10 in the McLaren. Krzyzowski just about holding on to P11 from Gianni Lenz. Dahlgren in 12th. Sorry, no, so Dahlgren in 13th, excuse me. Yeah, Josh Barton coming home in 14th in the BMW. And then it should be Brian Gillisey now. And then Dan Birch, Harry Hottie, Toda Kostadinov, Kev in 19th place, and Nigel Wood rounding out the top 20 in the Ferrari. Eugenie 21st, Begg 22nd, Reitzmer in 23rd. This is the part where I have to quickly scroll down through.
Go on.
Pit wall. Please update. Bitteschön. Yeah, so from there, it's after Begg, it's Reitzmer, Atkinson, Mad Al, Peter Varga in 26th, Jack Mason in 27th, Damien Vilk just nipping past Ian Mackey for 28th place on the final lap, then Chris Brook in 30th, Giorgio Minga, Matt Sherblem, and then Hugo Gomez a couple of laps down, I've noticed. So, wonder if Hugo had a little bit of an issue there during that race. There's a few cars still on track at the far end of the pit straight. So we're just waiting for them to all return to the pits now. There's Shipston still on track in the number 60. Lexus doing a full-on cool-down lap, so fair play to him. And coming into the pits now in the Gazoo Racing entry. Currently showing as being P29 according to the graphic next to his name, but he's actually in P8. It's just because he's done a full-blown slow-down lap. And into his pit box he arrives.
Yay!
Still a few cars down at down at Crowthorne, turn 2, excuse me. Not quite sure why.
Number 19 and someone else who I can't tell because they're on top.
Yeah. But either way, just waiting for them to return to the pits, I should say, which they have done. Thankfully.
Still waiting on 19 to do it on my football. Come on, 19, go home. Have you, were you taking any notice of the weather field? The field, you know, where the weather comes up on the... It's heavy cloud all the way through. The one
Absolutely.
that we had.
How it should be. Cracking stuff. And
So we may be lucky enough to get a little bit of rain.
well, I don't think
Sure
so. The
about
second
that.
race is it's still fairly short. Meanwhile, I've just
First
found
race
out someone.
It's just overcast, and the second
Yeah.
race will be at night.
Yeah, true. I've just found out, actually, just accidentally clicked on Instagram instead of YouTube to look at the YouTube chat and found out that a friend of mine who I went to primary school with has just got engaged. So, congrats to him.
Congrats to him.
Yep, I'm just sending him a quick message on Instagram at the moment.
Agreed. Two and a half minutes till we start the next race.
Yep, 2.5 minutes.
The wind speed is incredibly low, 2 kph. There's nothing compared to the other night's race where it got up to 16.
Not strong enough to yeet a child into a windscreen, according to Red.
No,
Very true. Yeah, very true.
yeah, it's strong enough for the child to just slip off your lap, and that's about it.
Pretty much, yeah. Maybe. I don't know, but
Well, if you're holding an ice cream, the child's gone. Forget the child. Carry on eating your ice cream.
yeah. Absolutely.
And a big warning to all drivers, remember not to drink and drive. Far too much chance of spilling it.
When I was not too long after my 18th birthday, I did go to a certain chain of pubs in the UK. And I had a couple of beers and then thought, okay, I'm going to put the PlayStation on and see what impact that has on my driving. So a few years ago, Sony Belgium took the country's top representative in from GT Academy, basically made him do shots while driving on the PlayStation. It was only around Apricot Hill to see what impact it would have on his lap time, but I did the same, except I'd only had 2 pints, but I was driving an LMP2 car around the Nordschleife. And at the time, and I had 2 accidents that were of sufficient speed and impact that I would have actually totaled the car in real life.
Oh yeah, easy done when your reactions are impaired.
Oh, massively. Yeah, it was very much a case of impaired reactions, but yeah, it was quite a interesting experiment on my perspective, just one I'd definitely only ever do on the PlayStation, because only a dickhead would do that, drinking and driving. And we absolutely do not condone it in any way, shape or form, and quite frankly, if you're doing that, you're a fucking wanker as far as I'm concerned.
Too true. You are basically somebody who's attempting to commit murder.
Well, yeah, pretty much. As the field head down towards Ingve, under the lights, well, I say under the lights, under what little lights there are, apart from the ones at the front of the car.
I was going to say, it's 3 candles and a 9-volt torch, isn't it?
Pretty much, but either way, the races go, and the field scream away down through the kink towards turn 2, effectively. Apparently the little kink there is in fact actually turn 1.
It is.
The field, there's a bit of, there's a bit of carnage on the outside. Of course, it's incredibly difficult to try and find your brake marker at night when you're in the dark. Meanwhile, we're with McDonald, who's dropped down all the way to 28th. There's a bit more carnage in the background up at the Yuxkai Swip.
104 and 919 were stationary for
cheers. So with the 66 at the moment, so that's McDonald, Mason, Kajowski, Barton and Minga, I think, have all been involved in incidents so far. McDonald really pushing hard to try and make up some ground in the opening laps, although thankfully this is a longer race, so there should be plenty of time for him to be able to make up some ground, not just on track but also in the pits as well.
I have to agree with the difficulty of driving, whether it's real life or sim, particularly sim, at night. Much harder. It's not just twice as hard, it's multiples of that.
Oh, easily. They currently with Dahlgren is coming out of Crocodiles now, heading towards Cheetah. Everyone appears to have thankfully missed the curb on the inside.
Looks like 104 might have been in.
There's a bit of carnage going on there in the background. At Ingve, there's a Mercedes heading off. That might have been 25. 25, which is Shirley in the Lexus. I did see a Mercedes go off, and I'm wondering, trying to work out who that was. I don't think that was, could that have been Reitzma? I think that may have been Reitzma, actually, because Reitzma was around the same sort of place in the field as Dahlgren was. So,
well, 121 was stationary on the pit straight. So
that's Reitzma. Yeah, that was indeed Reitzma. So, for once, I've managed to actually guess a car correctly.
Only for once.
So I'll take that. It's at night. Come on.
We always commentate at night.
Well, occasionally.
Unless it's a 10-hour when we have to be up for 3 o'clock in the afternoon to start. Which I missed.
Yeah, still with Dahlgren. Oh, bit of an off there with Dahlgren. I can't remember those. That's a Lamborghini. I think that might have been Hottie or Vilk. By the way, Dahlgren is still waiting.
It's car 89.
Cheers, car 89. That's Dahlgren we're looking at. Yeah. I was just looking to see who hit him. But either way, there's going to be certainly a fair few
That'll be 77 because that's just gone across. Possibly.
Oh, cheers.
And 23.
Okay, that's going to be... but then again, the on-screen graphic does...
Pick up any minor thing.
Oh yeah, it picks up anything. If you like, even merely scratch the paintwork on your car, it's going to pick up. So that's that. Meanwhile, we're still with Crawford Brown in the Ferrari, and now we're back with another Ferrari. This time a bit further down the field, as it's Magnus Dahlgren down in 29th place at the moment.
Is he a Danish fellow?
Swedish.
Swedish.
The blue and yellow on the car is a little bit of a giveaway, to be fair.
Well, it's hard to see in the dark.
It was clear enough in the daylight.
Yeah. When you're only looking from the back of the car, all you've got is...
Yeah.
So it could be Aquaman's car, for all we know.
Bieber, either way, doing a cracking job to come back through the field at the moment is Magnus, trying to close some of the gap. There's Sherblum there in the BMW, I think, just getting out of the way a little bit of the likes of Shirley, Kajowski, Begg, and
Dahlgren. They're all so close together.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still a fair bit of a gap.
Oh, Shirley's just past Sherblum.
Yeah, Shirley in the 25 Lexus, who were no stranger to doing a very John Watson-esque burn from the stern, coming from the back of the grid to the front, as he did a few rounds ago now, actually, where he came from I believe it was at Kota, where he came from pretty much the very back of the grid, having not been able to qualify and then having technical issues with his wheel, I believe it was, during the first race, and coming through to still finish in the top 10 in what was a phenomenal performance from Shirley. And so he's done this before, he knows what he's doing, and
there's feedback on his wheel, which really hampers you in races like this.
Well, yeah, it's impossible to drive. I mean, we had the Monza 8 hours up to Phil Varley, and it meant that Mark Elgard had to jump in at the last minute for the final stint, because Phil was having a right job trying to drive the Huracan Super Trofeo Evo. Dahlgren up into 28th now, past Sherblum. Got Ian Begg just in front of the pair of them, and no doubt Magnus is going to be wanting to get past as quickly as he possibly can. There's Mark Lessington in second place, about 3 seconds behind Radek Schuller at the moment. He's got Sebastian Erdmann right behind him, and this is where, and Mark and Sebastian, both absolutely phenomenal drivers. So it remains to see how that plays out. We're currently looking at Adam Kwiatkowski in the 26 Mercedes, now looking at Johnny Lenz in the 7 Audi. Lessington still ahead of Erdmann.
What is this auto director on?
It basically goes off of what it thinks the closest gap is between two cars, or what it thinks is the closest battles on track. So there are a number of parameters on the auto director which you can set.
Yeah, the needs changing
I don't know. Either way, we're looking at Harry Hottie at the moment. He's got McDonald only a quarter of a second behind him in the number 66 Lexus. See there in the 22 Lamborghini, running very wide, goes off indeed. He's going to lose the position there too. Well, he's not only lost the position to McDonald. I think he's lost it to Eugenie Badowski.
That was a close one.
Oh, that was a bit of a moment from Badowski, and unfortunately for him, it was caught on camera. So sorry about that, mate. He has to cede the position in the first part of the S's to Nigel Wood in the 77. Wood was just waiting for that little mistake there from Badowski, and he managed to force Badowski into it. Currently with Lessington at the moment.
A real facepalm moment.
I don't know. But either way, Lessington, he's still got Sebastian Erdmann right there with him, only a third of a second between them. In fact, just under a third of a second, so fair play to them. It's a very close battle indeed, heading into Ingwe now. Coming out of the corner now, we're with Mad Al, who was chasing down Harry Hottie. There's Kajowski in the Mercedes.
That's quite some damage on this car.
Yeah, he's. It might just be visual damage though. Whether he's going for the mechanical damage, it's not too bad. I have to drive around. I'm going to drive around it. Badowski is already in the pits for some reason. Well, the pit window hasn't opened yet. I don't think the pit window's due to open for a little bit. So
I think it's damage. I think he took damage.
I don't know. It's outside of the pit window. So if the damage is not too bad, you can get away with driving around it. But for some reason, Marco is in the pits. I'm going to have a little look to find out if there's anything explaining why Badowski's in the pits.
In the meantime, the guy out front has got almost 5 seconds left to P2.
Yep, Radek Schuller doing what Radek Schuller does best, which is
run away.
Yeah, clears off into the middle of next week, and Radek showing why he has been utterly dominant in the Constructors' Championship, and possibly maybe even the winningest. Well, winningest, yeah, that's winningest, yeah, that's fantastic grammar and English, Rob. You arsehole. You basically have 2 sports journalism degrees. You're pretty sure you can speak English. Right, I'll rephrase that. The most successful driver in the history of the Constructors' Championship. I think. At RWB, yeah. Badowski, after that green flag pit stop, is actually plumb last now in the McLaren. So, quite what's led him to come into the pits, I do not know, unfortunately, but
send him a text.
Either way, well, I can't because he's driving, so...
So? Wait till he's in the pits next time, proper.
I'll wait till post-race, and then probably...
Yeah, hopefully he'll pop in the comms box and have a little
ping him a DM.
That'd be good.
I don't think he will, but... Yeah. It was, quite interesting. He's already passed Minga for 30 seconds. He's rapidly catching the back of Matt Scherblum, who we're currently with now in the blue and yellow BMW. Very patriotically liveried in the colours of the Swedish flag, and that's a fast approaching object you see in the background. No, it's not Badowski putting a lap on him. There's a car pointing the wrong way there up at Sky Swip. Badowski, I should add, is just behind him. This is actually for position. Not to put a lap down, that's Barton who's gone off. Josh Barton, car number 84 in the BMW. So, Badowski is already on the gearbox of the BMW, and no doubt will make his way past fairly soon. Currently with Dan Birch.
Battle going on between Gomez, Lenz and Mackie. And Costadino as well.
Indeed there is. Currently with Dan Birch at the moment, who's just 0.4 of a second behind Mad Al in the big GTR. The GTR, not the easiest car to drive, I think it's fair to say. One that does have to be kind of manhandled a bit. But either way, Mad Al doing a very respectable job to be P18 in the only GTR in the field. With the a very rapid Mercedes right behind him. Speaking of rapid Mercedes, here's Mark Lessentin in the 722.
41 is in the pits, whoever that is.
41, I'll have a quick look on the pit wall. 41 is Kevin Shepherd in the Lexus.
It is indeed, yeah.
Just before the pit window. starts, so we'll...
Well, it's open, but they've got less than 14 minutes to get there.
Yeah, plenty of time.
84 and 96 are in. So it's Josh Barton and Radek Schuller in the pits.
Yeah, Barton had was the driver we just saw parked facing the wrong way in the BMW. So I can understand why he's come in to make an early stop. Schuller being the race leader, that's...
Ian Mack is in there as well. God, they're all piling in now. Look at it.
Yeah, Schuller making an early stop is
disappeared off the grid or something?
Which one, sorry?
Schuller?
Is it me or do I not see Schuller on the...
It might be because he's in the pits at the moment, which is a very unusual move from Schuller, because normally he tends to leave it fairly late on. He's currently down in, according to Pitwall, he's down in 29th, 30th now. So yeah, I think it's because of the pit stop that he's disappeared, and McDonald's got a stop and go 30 actually for I think speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, Schuller is still in there. He must have got some damage from something.
He didn't get damage. He's out the pits now. He didn't get damage. It was just because he pitted a bit earlier than he normally does, that because everyone's still fairly close together, that he's actually lost a whole load of positions, so that's why he's down in like P30.
Yeah, Pitwall says he's still in the pits.
Yes, but that's because Pitwall hasn't updated yet, because it's a bit slow. Yeah, so currently with Mark Lessington now in P2 with Crawford Brown right behind him in P3 as Harry Hottie and Dan Birch are heading in for their pit stop. So with Nathaniel Shirley now already up into P13. I think given what happened to him early on, he almost kind of has to stay out, does Shirley, for as long as he can. So it's just going to be a case of getting his head down and knocking out the quick laps. There's Toby Atkinson in the Audi, currently P18, and in first place of all the drivers who have pitted so far. So
I see McDonald's going to have to do his stop and go 30 on his next pit stop, which he's probably hanging on to. I see 96 is still on pit wall pits.
The 96 being Schuller.
Schuller is still in the pits according to pit wall.
Indeed it is, which is a bit
What I said.
odd.
Although I don't see anyone in the pit lane on the map.
Yeah, it is a bit of an odd one.
I do on the pit wall map. 31's right behind him on the pit wall. The pit.
It is certainly a bit of an
Anomaly.
odd one. I can't see Radek in the
Can you see him on track? Is he still alive?
chat, so I unfortunately won't be able to confirm whether or not he is in the pit lane or not. But
Some
either
weird
way,
supernatural stuff going on.
well, I mean, that could well be a very good explanation indeed as to what's going on. No phone. I do not want to tap mic to talk. No, I don't really want to do that, thanks. Technology these days.
Brainless, isn't it?
And believe. To quote the great Chris Kamara, unbelievable, Jeff.
Or to quote an early McCain's advert, that's Andy Harris, slam it in your...
Yeah, as well as it's currently 8 and a bit minutes left on the pit window. I will be right back in a second or so.
I see Woods of Lions pulled himself up to 4th place, which is good. He's got Nigel Woods right behind him though. Less than half a second gap.
As he goes into the pits.
Typical. What do they say about commentator's curse? As soon as you mention somebody doing well, go and change the plan. So Lions still in the pit waiting for his fuel top up. Shouldn't be long. Somebody else is in there as well, 66. So George McDonald, he'll be in serving his 30 before they can do anything to his car. Mad Al's just overtaken him on track. In fact, he's falling down, George, of course, because of that 30-second delay, causing him mayhem to his race. Elsewhere on track, it seems to be reasonably smooth. You're with Kevin Shepherd. Car number 41. Where on earth is he? Kevin, where are you? Oh, there he is. He's just coming down to Sunset. There is oh, now Marko Badowski's right behind him as well. Well, say right behind him, 9 seconds behind him. Shipston is now in the pit. Coming in there they got taken away from me too quickly. Wazowski and Ian Begg. Topping up their fuel, getting ready for final part of their race. 18 and a half minutes to go in the amazing Kyalami race that we're fortunate enough to be watching at the moment. So Damien, there's been some strange goings on in this race, particularly with the 96. I've no idea what's happened to him. He seems to know. I've got a feeling Rob's just gone off to find out.
I am back and I'm still none the wiser. So that explains that then.
I was just saying how
Nothing on chat.
the Lions pulled himself up to the number 11 now, very close to the top 10.
Yeah, he is probably going to get a few positions when some of the other drivers in the top 10 come into the pits, like Eugenie, Shirley, Gomez as well, maybe. I'm not sure. No, maybe.
He's just left the pits.
Okay, Gomez has just left the pits, so we might have to wait a few seconds for the timing to.
He's still ahead of the Lion.
Ooh. I don't think there's going to be an awful lot in it. So we're currently with Nathaniel Shirley at the moment, and we can just about see Eugenie in the background there, depending on the what camera angle we go from. So the we're currently focusing on the car in front. The car behind is Xavier Eugenie. That is for position.
Yeah.
And then we've got...
Has car number 1 pitted yet?
I don't know. There's Toby Atkinson in the 112. It's a few minutes left in the pit window, so for those who haven't pitted, there's still plenty of time. There's Dahlgren going off the track to try and force the move through. In the Ferrari, he runs wide, backs off, lets them both back past, as is the sporting thing to do, but yeah, that wasn't the smartest bit of driving I've seen, to put it fairly diplomatically.
There's some bump drafting going around that curve as well.
Yeah, ideally you don't want to be bump drafting a GT3 car around 100-mile-an-hour corner though, Bruce.
No, not unless you want to kill him. No.
Well, no, unless you want to have a fairly big accident, yeah, then by all means.
Go for it.
Yeah, go mad. But no, that was not the best bit of driving I've seen from Magnus. It's a very, very out of character actually for Magnus to do that.
Yeah,
Very clean and quick racer. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but
the sparks
very
are showing up nicely at night time, it has to be said.
yeah, we're with Kev in the Kevin Shepherd in the 41 Lexus. There's Brian Gillisey in the 15 Honda.
Looking back at Brooke. Seems to be closing.
Should say that
We
Kev.
should be looking forward from Gillisey to Mad Al, really, because
Yeah.
it's the closer part.
Very well. I should add that Kevin Shepherd is also a stand-up comedian, so wonder if I wonder if he could get sim racing into his next set. That'd be a good one. Yes, and
Sure it's already in.
bonus points for mentioning that the lead commentator happens to be a bit of a nerd, but there we are.
Nerd.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yep.
I see nothing, I hear nothing, I know nothing. That's another old quote, see if you can remember that.
Is it from before 1997?
Yes.
Well, I probably won't then, because I wasn't born, so...
Probably from around 1967. It was Hogan's Hero. And that was Sergeant Schultz in the prison camp. He was the funny man.
I'm still trying to process this information, but there we are. As a whole load of cars come into the pits, we've got Lenz, Kostadinov, Vilk, Shirley, Eugenie all in at the moment for their mandatory pit stops, and the leading few cars are going to be coming in fairly shortly. And the thing is Harry Hottie going to be able to get out in front? He's moved up to 15th. He's managed to get back ahead of Eugenie. In fact, Eugenie's lost a couple more places there. We're gonna have to wait a little bit again for the timing totem to update at the end of sector 1, but he's still got Dan Birch in the Mercedes right there with him. There's Tom Shipston in the Lexus, trying to hold on to 6th place from Nigel Wood in the Ferrari. You can see Gomez, then Vlaian, then Shipston, then Wood, as Sebastian Erdmann comes into the pits. And no doubt Crawford Brown will be doing the same anytime now, which he does with about 9 seconds to go on the pit window. So very well timed indeed from the pair of them. Still not as well timed as Damien on Saturday when it started raining at Watkins Glen.
Was it about 30 yards before the pit lane, wasn't it?
I was scheduled to pit at that time, and I couldn't the rain just couldn't time it any better.
Don't you just love it when a plan comes together?
Yeah.
Like, my stint timer was just like 1 minute remaining, and I was just going into the pit and like, oh wow, the rain came.
And then presumably came a very, very frantic tyre change.
Well, tyre change, setting change.
Well, yeah, exactly, to go from
Luckily,
slicks
I
to wet.
actually had a wet tire set prepared, just in case something like this would have happened.
What?
Because going
It gets better.
when like
It must
like
have been you must have
when
been a
I was going through all the
Scout
practice sessions in the like weeks before the race, like there were times where like it was raining and I thought like I feel like it's going to rain during the race, so I set a wet setup just in case something like that would have happened.
Well, as I say, you must have been a Boy Scout. Be prepared and all that.
Yeah, very, very much so. Although in Singapore, I think, am I right in saying that they still have national service?
Yep. Well, yeah, we still have it since 1967.
Yeah. So, yeah, Damien,
That's where they
very
all learn
much
to
prepared.
That's where they all learn to drink, mate. They get it, you know, teetotalers before they do the national service. Come out alcoholics. Oh no,
That's just called going to uni.
That's the Russian angle. Sorry.
No, that's just called going to university these days.
Yeah, I didn't need to go to university to become an alcoholic.
I just went to university anyway, so yeah.
Yes, you keep showing off. Us poor buggers, us working class people, never get to uni.
Well, I mean, by sports journalism standards, I was pretty working class, so yeah.
What you mean, like, oh God, what's his name? Darwin O'Legs that now does commentary on Channel 4.
Billy Munger.
Billy Munger, yeah. I mean, Billy Munger's is secondary school as it come.
Yeah, Billy Munger, what absolute legend.
I think it's about time he got us a new set of legs. He's looking extremely short against his fellow commentators. His torso's grown, but they need to give him a set of legs, I think.
It's did win the famously win the Po Grand Prix a few years back in Euro Formula Open. And Po Grand Prix, the list of drivers who've won that over the years is almost reads like a who's who of motorsport, pretty much. I mean, the fact that up until the even up to the late 90s, it was still a Formula 3000 race is gives you some indication as to just how prestigious that was. It was for the Formula 3000, like it was basically their equivalent to Macau, the Macau Grand Prix in Formula 3. And yeah, win that, and you were destined for big things. Meanwhile, speaking of destined for big things, Hugo Gomez having an absolutely phenomenal run there in the Porsche, still in P4, holding off Tom Shipston with 8.5 minutes to go. Absolutely cracking drive from Gomez, as Wrightson has had a little bit of a moment somewhere with Gillespie.
Badowski's pulled himself up to 26 from, what was it, 38?
Badowski's pulled himself up from stone dead last to 26th. No doubt not the result he would have wanted, although all the McLaren team are having a bit of a bad day at the office, I think. The highest placed car is actually Jack Mason, who was extremely quick in the NSX at Watkins Glen. In fact, if I quickly scroll up to the championship standings, this is probably going to be one of Badowski's 2 dropped scores, and in fact it's not going to do McLaren's chances any favours whatsoever in the Constructors' Championship either, as they're
neither Varga or Schaefer in the standings for this race.
No, they're not. They're one of a few drivers who have dropped out. I'm going to have a quick look on another server quickly. Varga saying that I know Varga was having some internet issues earlier on this evening, so I'm wondering if his internet issues have come back. So think that might have been what has happened to him. As for everyone else,
As for the guy that was in the lead and has decided to spend the rest of the race in the pit, none of us have a clue what's happened to him.
I'm guessing he's had some. I'm guessing there's been some kind of technical issue somewhere for Radek, whether it's his internet connection or his hardware.
He's still connected, so it might be hardware.
Yeah, it could well be. Sherblin, Minger, Barton. I'm going to have a quick look at the standings on Pitwall. Yeah, so Varga's currently showing as being plus 7 laps. Chafer is currently... I don't see him on the leaderboard, unfortunately. So it's just Mason and Badowski in the McLarens. And then, yeah, I think Varga's internet's gone. So, because he's currently showing as being 8 laps and half a minute down. And then there's Schuller's still in the pits, so I'm not 100% sure as to what's happened there for that to happen, but...
He only got 7 laps in, and that was it.
7 laps in the lead, and then...
I've been for a cup of tea and decided this is a nice cup of tea. I think I'll enjoy this for 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's another little tiny bit of contact, maybe involving Wrightsmoor and Gillisy. I'm just doing this off of who's coming up first on the board. There's Ian Mackey in the Bentley in 10th place, doing a sterling job indeed. Currently with Xavier Eugenie now in the TF Sport Aston Martin. And there's Ian Mackey again in the Bentley. Ian Begg being 0.666 behind Kozłowski for 22nd. And there's Kevin Shepherd in the Gazoo Racing Lexus. Currently in 28th place and about 2.3 seconds off the back of McDonald, who has served his stop and go 30 for speeding in the pits. Yeah.
Speaking of 30-second fines, Paul Alonso, that would hang out of order. Bringing that on him after the race.
Depends what technical delegate says, really, but yeah, he...
I think the FIA got that wrong.
Like I said, it depends on what the technical delegate says, as they have the final say as to whether the car's legal or not. So that's why during the I believe it was 2001 Monaco Grand Prix weekend, Arrows and Jordan stuck additional front wings mounted on the nose cone of their cars, and Joe Bauer, the Swiss gentleman who was the technical delegate at the time, told the teams to remove them for safety reasons. So that it goes to show that, but I think they did use them for a practice session though. So at the end of the day, I'm not 100%. I think Joe Bauer's retired now.
The thing is though, Rob, that what you're mentioning is something that was constructed outside of the allowed parameters, whereas what happened was along...
It was within the parameters. There was just nothing explicitly in the regulations outlawing it. So...
Oh, I see.
And then they had to... And then inevitably, this being Formula One, right, pen and paper, write something out to re-outlaw it and all that. So yeah, the technical delegate has final say really at the end of the day, as we still ride with Nathaniel Shirley as he heads through the S's. Now with Ian Begg in 23rd. Just about to see Dahlgren.
Yeah, we were pointing forward so we could see who he was attacking.
That'll be Adam Kozłowski in the 919.
Yeah. See that, but we can't see it because we're not looking at him. You can see it in the totem, but that's all. Come on, auto director. The fight is the other way. It's in front of you. Military, I think.
Yep. So,
Yeah, Damien, come on, Damien, your turn to speak. Come on.
So I was just having to quickly do something on my end.
That's enough information, thank you. Well, he's 8.5 seconds ahead of Brown. That is impressive because we know what Corsa's like around most circuit.
Yeah.
He's pretty much,
Phenomenally quick driver.
yeah, pretty much singing, "You can't touch this."
Yeah.
He's now second and can't get any closer.
Kujawski nearly getting past Chris Brook there through the first few corners. There's Giorgio Minga, who's closing on the back of one of the BMWs. I couldn't quite tell who that was, unfortunately. We're looking back now from Minga's car as we head through the S's, and I'm not 100% sure.
To get in the boot.
Not 100% sure who that was, unfortunately. But either way, the clock is just counting down now.
12 seconds to go.
There's a little triangle on the screen for car number 95 because they're the race leader, and
Yeah.
I believe we're going to be getting another lap after this one. So,
Well, time's up. So
indeed it is.
we shall see what we shall see when we see it.
Absolutely. Get that up there.
We can't have you having drinks. You keep double entendring everything you say.
No, it's because I need to get prepared for the wrapping up the stream at the end. So, yeah, because I'm also going to be on admin duties. Car 17 has been involved in an incident somewhere. There's Minga just getting out of the way of this little battle between. Just trying to see that. Where's that? Stan Birch and Nathaniel Shirley. That's the battle for 14th place. So we've got a very, very good view of it here. There's a car stopped on the pitch straight for some reason.
I think they've won.
No, I don't know. The checkered flag hasn't been waved. I don't know if it's because they were trying to save fuel or if they had the leader behind them. But either way, the leader is coming out, and the car number 95 is coming out of Ingway now and crosses the start-finish line to win the second race here this evening at Kyalami.
Followed by car 3.
Yep, so that's Sebastian Erdmann winning from Crawford Brown. Brown just able to get ahead of Mark Lessington there in the 722 Mercedes. And then we got Hugo Gomez in 4th place. We'll do a quick rundown for you.
Behind him.
Yeah, there's a whole train of cars behind the Porsche. Very, very well done from Gomez for what I think might actually be his best result in the Constructors' Championship. You currently see Giorgio Minga coming around the final corner now. He's not going to be quite to get the position from Sherblum. So Sherblum is going to finish 29th and Minga in 30th. We can see a few cars crossing the line now from 9th place downwards. So we'll do a quick rundown for you. It was Sebastian Erdmann winning from Crawford Brown ahead of Mark Lessington in 3rd place in the Mercedes-Benz. Hugo Gomez came home in 4th, just ahead of Tom Shipston, Nigel Wood and Eddie Warden, with Gianni Lenz coming home very strong 8th place actually from Gianni. Very well done to him. Ian Mackey is in 9th place, just ahead of Wouter Vlayen. Mackey getting ahead of Vlayen on the final lap, actually. In fact, Mackey's final lap was about 1.3 seconds quicker than Vlayen's. Toby Atkinson coming home in 11th place ahead of Damian Vilk, and Todor Kostadinov with Dan Birch able to just about hold on to 14th place from Nathaniel Shirley. Harry Hottie comes home in 16th, head of Xavier Eugeni with Brian Gillisey, Berno Reitzmer and Chris Brook rounding out the top 20. Adam Kuszowski is in 21st place after his issues earlier on in the race. Incidentally, with the fastest Sector 1 time as well, I believe. Oh no, sorry, it's best Sector 1 time, excuse me, on the final lap of the race. Mad Owl in 22nd, Marco Badowski 23rd, George McDonald 24th, Ian Begg 25th, Magnus Dahlgren in 26th place, ahead of Jack Mason, Kevin Shepherd, Matt Scherblum and Giorgio Minga rounding out the top 30. Josh Barton came home in 31st place, and then we have the drivers who had technical woes during the race, being Peter Varga, whose internet connection I think was playing up a bit, hence why he's 12 laps down, and Radek Schuller rounding out the field 16 laps down after some kind of issue. We're not 100% sure what, to be quite honest.
We're not 1% sure.
Yeah, so either way, that was the end of the race and the end of the penultimate race meeting of the Constructors' Championship. For next week marks the final round of the season, being held at Bathurst of all places, and we have absolutely, well, those of us who remember the last Constructors' Championship race at Bathurst might remember how that went, and hopefully we don't have a repeat of that.
Driven in it.
Yes, I was going to say you were driving in it. I was commentating on it, Damien. We've got the All Request Friday coming up on Automobilista 2 on Friday evening, where you can choose what car track combo comes up. We've got the new RWB World Touring Car Cup as well, the season opener for that, which is going to be held at the well, we'll just ease everyone into it gradually, and we'll have the first round on the Nordschleife then, shall we? Oh, go on then. Yes, we will indeed. That will be
I think
nice, easy way.
One of those all request things, I think, should be minis around the Nords. Just 3 laps, because it would take long enough. That's half an hour.
Well, the WTCR cars can only do 3 laps before running out of fuel. In real life, we've got the Constructors' Championship final round at Bathurst next Tuesday. Yay! And then on the 19th of November, we've got the 12-hour charity race, raising money for Great Ormond Street Hospital in London.
3 days after my birthday, so I'm expecting cards and presents from all our listeners.
Be a phenomenal event, and hopefully we can raise plenty of money. There's still 37 spaces available, so if you're thinking of entering a team for that, then get on and do it, because it is going to be quite a phenomenal race. And
I'm not good enough.
Yeah, that was the penultimate round of the RWB International Constructors Championship for Season 8 at Kyalami in South Africa. My thanks to Damien Lowe and Bruce Andros for joining me in the commentary box, and to Nate Newcomer for hosting the stream PC. I have been Rob Lomas, and also a massive thanks to Red Sky for the starting the stream this evening. Much appreciated, mate. And that was tonight's racing. And as always, it's bye for now.